Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to install the BLTouch on the CR-10S. Yes, this is a CR-10S, I've just upgraded my X-axis to linear rails and bearings. So to get started, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a computer with the latest version of Arduino IDE installed. You're going to need to download Marlin, and you're going to need to download the U8glib library to your Arduino library. Let's go through the tools now. So the tools that you're going to need to get the job done are pliers, crimpers, which will just make your job a lot easier. When I ordered mine, I didn't get the right ones for Dupont connectors, so I just ended up using pliers and that worked fine. You're going to need wire strippers, some Allen wrenches, the USB cable that came with your printer to upload the firmware, some ribbon cable to run from the BLTouch down to your control box of your 3D printer. And then I know the BLTouch came with some Dupont connectors, but I picked up some extra because they can be a little finicky when you're trying to crimp them onto the wire and they can break. It's not a bad idea to have some extras. You're also going to want some zip ties to clean up the wiring. And you're going to need the mount that you plan on using for your BLTouch. I'm not going to be supplying this because I've upgraded my extruder to the Titan Aero, and I assume most people will still have the stock extruder on their CR10. So install the mount that you plan on using on your CR10, then install the BLTouch to that. Then we're going to go over the wiring and how to download, update, and install the firmware to your printer to get the BLTouch running. So now with your mount installed, we need to figure out how much wire it's going to take to go from the BLTouch all the way to your control box. Once you figure that length out, then you're just going to cut the wire. You can use any wires and they'll get the job done just fine, but I like using these ribbon cable wires because the colors match up perfect to the wires in the BLTouch. So I grabbed the red, orange, and brown wires and the black and white, pulled them off the length that I needed, pulling them apart, and then now stripping them, that way I can crimp the Dupont connectors onto the wires. You're just going to strip all your wires on both ends to get them ready to crimp the connectors to. So now we're going to crimp the Dupont connectors onto the wires. On one end, you're going to crimp all male connectors on the wires, and on the other end, female. I'm just going to do one for you, seeing that I already have mine installed and I have no reason to do all of them. So you're going to take your stripped wire and you're going to push it into the connector, just enough to where it makes a contact with the metal. And then you're going to pinch the pliers around that tab and squeeze it to where it grabs onto the wire. Once you have that clamped down on the wire, you're going to go to the tabs underneath that and make sure that they're clamped down on the insulation of the wire to really grab hold. It's kind of tricky to do with pliers because you really have to make sure that it's clamped down nice and tight in order to fit inside that plastic casing. Once you have that secured, go ahead and give it a little tug to make sure it's not just going to slip right out, but don't pull on it too hard because it will come out pretty easily. So now grab the plastic housing for your Dupont connector and slide it in. Mine's taking a little more force than necessary because, again, I didn't use a crimper, I used pliers, so another reason to get the crimpers. If you end up needing to, just grab a pair of the pliers and grab the tip and kind of pull it through from the other end like I'm trying to do with my finger there. There we go. Now do that for the rest of your wires. Male on one end, female on the other. I like using the single Dupont connectors on the female end. It just makes doing the connections to the board a lot easier. One thing to note if you're using a 3-pin Dupont connector for the female side is that the wires are in a different order for the board than they are for the BLTouch, so pay attention to this. With the connectors now crimped onto your wire, you're now ready to connect it to the BLTouch and run the wire all the way to your control box. Zip tie the wires for your BLTouch onto the wires for the extruder to keep them out of the way. And now we're ready to connect the wires to our control box. Before we go any further, this is the point where I'm going to tell you to unplug your CR-10S. Make sure it is not plugged into the outlet. You do not want to be messing around with main voltages and get zapped. So undo the screws on the bottom of your control box and then take the lid off. It's going to show the power supply unit. Now turn it to its side and undo the screws that are keeping the power supply unit in. Then lift the power supply unit up to get it out of the way so you can get to the control board underneath. With the control board exposed, you're going to feed the female end of the wires into the back of the control box through the grommet with the rest of the wires and plug the black and white wire into Z- and the red, brown, and orange wire into D11. I'm going to leave this diagram up just for a little while because I know that most people are probably looking for this when trying to install the BLTouch onto the CR-10S. Now with your BLTouch wired in, it's time to put your control box back together. Put your power supply unit back down and screw it back in on the side to keep it in place. Now put the lid back on and screw it in. Now we're ready to head over to the software side of things. Go over to Arduino.cc and head over to the software section in downloads. Once there, you're going to choose whatever operating system that you're using and download it. For Windows 8 and 10, you're going to have to head over to the App Store and download it from there. Now head over to printedsolid.com and go to the Updating Marlin Firmware tab. Click right here to make sure that you're on the right section. And then once there, you're going to click on that CR-10S 1.1.8 firmware source code and hex files to download the files that you'll need. Now that we've got the files and software we need downloaded, we're going to open up the Arduino IDE and download a library that we need. Open up Arduino, then head over to Sketch, Include Library and Manage Libraries. Then you're going to search for the U8glib library, and you're going to install the latest version of it. Now we're going to open up the Marlin file. Head over to where you downloaded and unzip the file and find the marlin.ino file to open up. Your file directory is going to look a little different. You're going to have different options for the stock extruder and for a V6. Choose whichever you have installed on yours and go from there. Now follow the directions that are given to you by Printed Solid and go through every step. And now we're going to make the changes to the firmware to enable the BLTouch. Head to the configuration.h tab and hit Ctrl F for find and type in BLTouch. Now uncomment where it says enable BLTouch. Now head back over to the find and type in probe. For this, you're going to need to figure out the distance the probe is from the nozzle in X, Y, and Z, and enter those values in here. Just follow the directions, it's pretty easy to do. Now you're going to scroll down and you're going to uncomment where it says auto bed leveling linear, and then you're going to scroll down until you find the probe bed position. This is where you're going to set the area for which the probe can reach your bed. Remember, if your probe is offset from your nozzle, it's not going to be able to reach as far on your bed. With all of this updated in the firmware, we're ready to install it into the printer. But first we need to make sure that we've got the right Arduino board selected. Make sure you've got the Arduino Mega 2560 board selected and the Mega 2560 chip selected. You also need to select what port your printer is connected to. If you're not sure what that is, just go and right click on your start menu. Then click on Device Manager. Then click on the drop down menu for ports. And there you're going to be able to tell what port you're connected to. So now with your printer on and connected to the computer, you're going to head back over to the Arduino IDE and select the port that it's connected to, compile the sketch, and upload it to your printer. Now you're all set to use the BLTouch with your CR-10S. The only thing left to really do is to figure out the right Z offset to get the perfect first layer height. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope it helped. If you liked it, leave a like. If you guys have any suggestions or comments, drop one of those below. I hope you guys have a great day and thanks for watching.